context. I do want to ask you, Charlie, because I thought this detail got, at least for me, kind of buried in all the news that was happening on Friday, which is you had Chairman Thompson hinting at the possibility of new evidence ahead of Monday's final hearing. And I wonder if you have any sense of what that could be and what questions you sort of have left unanswered.
I do not know if they have real new evidence or if they've held back something significant to make a splash. They have been good at bringing out things that people didn't know that they still had up their sleeve in previous hearings. And so I'm loath to say I don't think they have anything new based on that history, but I don't know what it would be at this point. They certainly haven't been in a high profile way taking in new information that I'm aware of. So we'll have to see about that. I also just think to build on this, it's easy. It's good. Look, the reality is it's going to be easy for this committee to say Trump is guilty of X, Y, and Z. Because they're not the ones that have to go into a courtroom and prove things beyond a reasonable doubt. As Barbara pointed out, there's constitutional issues with some of what they're going to say. But what they're going to say is also going to function for history. It is going to become part of how this is remembered, regardless of what the Justice Department does.
Barb, when it comes to criminal referral by Congress, I think we've all sort of touched on this. You have the AP reporting. While it doesn't carry any legal weight, recommendations by the committee would add to the political pressure on the Justice Department as it investigates Trump's actions. That political, it's the same conversation we sort of come back to, you and I, Barb, which is that political pressure, it plays both ways, right? If you have an entity that is trying to be apolitical, any sort of appearance or feeling of political pressure can always have then sort of the opposite intended effect.
Yeah, I think that there is that risk, right? That if the committee suggests insurrection and then you charge insurrection, it looks like you were just their puppet and doing what they wanted you to do. Whenever I was in these scenarios, and I certainly wasn't in anything nearly as high profile as this, but, cases that got at least some local media scrutiny, what we always told ourselves is we need to tune out the noise and we need to look at the facts and the law that we have, and we need to think about how this case is going to play out in court. What do we think we can prove? What do we think we should charge to make sure that we're holding someone accountable and advancing the interests of justice? And so I think that's what they'll do here. And, there will be people who spin this as, that it's political, that they took the bait, they didn't take the bait, whatever it is. But I have confidence that Jack Smith and all of the career professionals who are at the Justice Department, we're going to make these decisions based on the facts and the law, as Merrick Garland has said all along.
Right. And the people that they're spinning it for have already made up their minds, right? I don't think that there are people really out there who haven't decided how they feel about this. Just to loop back, David Jolly, on this sort of core question of what this is going to mean, the work of the 1-6 committee, the report. I was so struck by Congressman Cicilline saying, at some point, members, you're going to sit down with your kid or your grandkid, no longer going to be in the House of Representatives, and they're going to say, where were you? What did you do? Right. And you're going to have to be able to answer that question. And that question is going to be more powerful and more meaningful than the questions you are answering right now from your colleagues. And so talk to me both about the document itself and how we're going to look back at the body of work that they put together.
Yeah, Alicia, it's clear. We all saw with our own eyes. Donald Trump tried to steal the last election and caused a violent insurrection. And there's no nitpicking around that. So then the question for leaders is, what do you do with that? When Adam Kinzinger gave his farewell speech, he used language that I did after losing my last race after opposing Donald Trump, and I call it the sleep well at night test. And Adam Kinzinger said, I know I can leave here with my head held high and not look back on any regrets. That is not true of most members on the Republican side of the aisle. It just is not. And I would lay a finer lens on it and say this. Most leading Republicans right now, from Mitch McConnell to Mike Pence to Ron DeSantis to Mike Pompeo, they actually want DOJ to get Donald Trump, and they want the January 6th committee to get Donald Trump because they don't have the courage to do it themselves. They want somebody else to knock out Donald Trump and clear the path for them and then pretend that none of this ever happened. And that is how scurrilous leading Republicans are acting in this moment. They're not going to be able to sleep well at night, like Adam Kinzinger now says he's certain he can do.